Good morning, DFS Army. It's Craig Bennett, a.k.a. Cash K, going to give you another NBA first look this morning. Start time is at 1:30 today instead of 1. It's a little bit better than the 1 o'clock. Got a few pieces of news here that I think could maybe make the slate a little bit different, considering this is the third game, like Groundhog's Day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday here, same teams. But a few pieces of news that could change things up. But let's dive right into this. And all right, first game on the docket. We got Toronto at Brooklyn. Line is 219.5 over under, with Toronto favored by 10.5. Now, in this game, we do have some news. Harris is out. So on the Brooklyn side, we have no Joe Harris. He left the bubble. He should be back. I think it's a personal matter. So that'll change things up. We'll probably see a projected starting lineup of LeVert, Temple, TLC, Clarkson, and Allen. Crooks would probably just move in that starting lineup, but just more shooting for Temple and TLC here. And their prices are not too bad over here on DraftKings. We have LeVert at 8,100, Allen 7,100, Temple 5,100, TLC 4,600, Crooks at 3,800. He makes it a little bit interesting. I think TLC is my favorite, 4,600. You know, he saw the start last game with Crooks go to the bench with Harris there. 36 minutes, shot 6 for 16, 21. If he gets hot, and you figure he's going to shoot closer to 20 shots here with Harris, because Harris shot last game, he shot 9 shots. So, yeah, but he put up a hell of a hit, 14 rebounds. He's playing more of that power forward position. I think you can go there and just tournaments, though. I wouldn't play any of these guys in cash. Allen had a nice game. Played almost 40 minutes that first game. 41 minutes last game. Put up 45 fantasy points. Had 14 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks. I think he's fairly priced there. LeVert, you can still go back to, again, more shots for him. Again, it's still a tough matchup against Toronto, but this Brooklyn's Nets team has been playing really, really tough. So if you're going to look at guys to slide in there, I think they're just all tournament options for me. But LeVert, Allen, Temple, TLC, I really wouldn't play Crooks. Even at 3,800, I'm just not a big Crooks fan, man. He's just a big guy that likes to shoot the 3 ball. But 3,800, maybe we need the salary, but we'll see. Over here on the Toronto side, nothing really changes. No real news out of them. Kyle Lowry, 7,600. Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry is 7,800. Fred VanVleet at 7,600. That's still too cheap for him. He's been just having a hell of a playoff so far and bubble run, honestly. Only shot 8 for 22, but put up 49 fantasy points. You'll take that all day long at the 7,600 price tag. I mean, that's just way too cheap for him. Also, that first game, he put up a 60 burger. So I love some Fred VanVleet here at 7,600. Siakam at 7,300. You know, we're just not seeing that ceiling game. You know, the shots maybe aren't there. Maybe VanVleet's seeing a few more of those shots. But, yeah, 7,300 for him, put up 35 fantasy points. But we haven't seen that big 60 monster like we have seen in the past. So that's something we just have to keep an eye on. Not something that I absolutely love. But, again, he's cheap, probably be popular. But I would rather go VanVleet. Ibaka, 5,300, kind of put up a stinker last game, considering that big game he had game 1 at 37 fantasy points. So all same 26 minutes. But if he's not going to see those shots, he only put up 19 fantasy points, so that's just a GPP play. Anobi 4,600, Powell 4,300, just GPP plays. Gasol's 4K. Some people might go there. I can't do it. Saw 17 minutes, 21 the first game, only putting up 19 fantasy points first game, 6 this last game. He's old, man, and they can run Ibaka easily at the 5 against Allen. He's not like a huge guy, and they can run Siakam and Ibaka at the 5. So I really no love there, and I don't want any of these other guys. So for me, it's VanVleet up top. No problem going Lowry either, but VanVleet, Lowry, Siakam, and then those other guys in GPPs. Let's head over to Fanduel and see the pricing over there for this team. We're looking at let's look at the Nets first. LeVert 8,400. His price is creeping up there, but you got to have him in your player pool if you're playing tournaments, man. He put up 41. 43 the last 2 games against Toronto, so that'll get you about there. But Allen 7,400, I didn't have a ton of them on Wednesday. Put up 43 fantasy points though, man. So those 3 blocks really got him there. You know, they count for 3 points each here at Fanduel, so that kind of inflated his score. But you know, with a lot of people that go Embiid and Joker on these 4 games, you can kind of look at him. TLC at 5,100, Temple at 4,900. I do like they move Temple down to small forward on here on Fanduel. I think that's nice. So we at least get a shooter down there and on a position that's kind of gross. Tyler Johnson at 4,200. Maybe he'll have a little bit more scoring off the bench if you want to look at there for some value. He did put up 20 fantasy points in 22 minutes. So I do remember on these slates, point guard is pretty damn ugly. So maybe look at Tyler Johnson over here. Like I said, Crooks is 3,500 at power forward, but I just can't go there. I'm never excited to play that guy. On Toronto side, Lowry 8,200, Fred VanVleet 7,900. So they're about the same price they were on Wednesday. Still, Siakam 7,700. I think that's kind of inflated. I'd rather go VanVleet, Lowry here. Ibaka 5,600, tournaments only. Powell 4,900, OG 4,800. Again, tournaments only. Gasol, again, around 4,200 over here. I just can't do it. I can't jump on the Gasol train. I'll have 0 of him. This matchup just doesn't work well for him. Not against the Nets. Let's head on over to Denver at Utah. We have a 219.5 over under. Denver favored by 1.5. The big news, Mike Conley is back, which they are short bodies as it is, but we can't be all in love with Clarkson, Mitchell, Ingles, because Conley's back. And it kind of going to take just the ball out of those guys' hands a little bit more. So I'm not in love with it. But Mike Conley's 5,800. So it puts him into play, which is great. Over here on FanDuel, he is 5,800 over here at FanDuel. Rudy Gobert 7,800. That price is getting up to the point where I don't love it. It's I can't get there. I think I'd rather run Allen. But yeah, Mitchell 8,200 again. He's going to have the ball less in his hand, so those assist numbers were inflated those first 2 games without Conley. So he put up 8 assists and 7 assists. I don't think we're going to see those numbers, which are going to hurt his upside. So I don't really like Mitchell a ton with Conley back. Ingles at 5,700, I still think is a fair price. Again, his assist numbers will go down a little bit, but he's usually around the 4 or 5 range anyways. 5,700, not going to be a must play by any means, but still a fair price. Clarkson up to 5,400. Again, a guy that very shooting dependent, but comes off the bench. I think you can play him, but again, they're not in smash spots anymore with Conley coming back. And then Royce O'Neal at 4,800. The guys that did jump back on the train, like we talked about, you got rewarded. 38 fantasy points there in 35 minutes. Again, recency bias at its best. But again, he's starting to creep up there where he's not a must play. And that's about it on this team. You can't look at Morgan or any of those guys. Conley's probably the best, but coming back, maybe you want to say the baby narrative, daddy narrative. But let's jump over on Denver here on FanDuel. The Joker, 9,400. Their prices are up there. No problem going the Joker. I think he put up 48 fantasy points in 31 minutes. And again, they lost last game. They got their butt kicked. So if he put up 40 minutes, he could put up a 60 burger there. So got to look at him. Jamal Murray, 7,500. Again, he put up kind of a stinker there last game. Put up 20 fantasy points, which is not great. Michael Porter Jr., 6,800. Boy, he was chucking the rock. Put up 38 fantasy points in 32 minutes. We're going to get games out of him like this where I think he's going to blow up, but we're going to get games where he stinks because he's so scoring dependent with this whole starting 5. Jeremy Grant, 4,700. Paul Millsap, 4,500. I want nothing to do with Millsap. I just can't play that old man. Jeremy Grant, 4,700. Tournaments only. Monte Morris, I don't mind going back here again. He's kind of that guy off the bench that can spark. If Murray's struggling, they have no problem playing Morris out there. He plays good defense. He chucks the ball. Only put up 17 fantasy points the first game. Again, they struggled. Didn't play the whole fourth quarter. They just kind of played a bunch of scrubs that fourth quarter. But the first game, he put up 28 fantasy points in 29 minutes. So he's a guy you got to have in your pool at 3,900 at a weak small point guard position. Let's look over at DraftKings and check out their pricing on these guys. Denver Joker's 9,300. That is priced up, but again, I think we got 60 burger out of him today. Murray 7K. That's pretty stinking cheap. So if we can go back there, it might just be tournaments, but they're going to come back with a vengeance here after losing. So I love going back to guys in tournaments that struggle that game before. I think that's where you get the edge when you're playing the same teams over and over. So we can look at him. Porter 6,700. Yeah, he should be in your pool because he can put up a 40-50 burger. It's just you can't trust a guy like that in cash. Grant 4,500. Millsap 4,400. Again, I don't want nothing to do with Millsap. More of a Grant guy. And again, Monte Morris is 3,800 over here. So again, I would look at him in tournaments, or if we need some savings even in your cash, I don't mind playing him because we're going to at least see low 20s to high 20s in minutes. And a guy like that has upside, and he has a decent floor. So guy that I will look at. Over on the Utah side, Mitchell 9,400. Complete fade. With Conley back, there ain't no way I'm playing Mitchell on this slate, 9,400. You're insane. Rudy Gobert, 7,400. That is a fair tag on him. I think he's viable in cash games and tournaments at that price on DraftKings. A little bit better here than on Fanduel. Conley, 5,900. Again, that's pretty cheap for him. Should play a ton of minutes. Again, he just went out of the bubble for a little bit to go check out his baby. Ingles 5,700, Clark 5,500. I think DraftKings are kind of overpriced. I think Conley, Gobert are the guys I would look at. Fade Mitchell completely, and then tournaments maybe some Ingles and Clarkson, but they're not smash plays. O'Neal 4,100, still too cheap. I have no problem going right back to well with O'Neal. Again, he does a little bit of everything. He's going to play a ton of minutes still. Conley coming back does not affect him one bit. Conley coming back is going to affect Mitchell and Ingles with their assist numbers, and he just kind of screws up the guards. But O'Neal, 4,100, throw that burger in your pool, and I'd throw him in cash. No problem there. Excuse me. Let's head on over to Boston at the 76ers. Boy, the 76ers look horrible. 216 over-under. Celtics favored by 5. Got some real low over-unders here. The Hammer game's over 230, but this 216 over-under. Celtics favored by 5. Got Javonte Green questionable. Doesn't really do anything for this game at all. On the Boston side over here, they project a starting lineup of Walker, Smart, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and Thies. Sixers project starting lineup Milton, Richardson, Harris, Thibault, and Embiid. Man, Brett Brown has a hard-on for Thibault, and I just don't understand. We saw hardly any Burke play, and it was so tilting because they need the offense because they're just absolutely horrendous. And it's just, they're sad to watch, man. They are just a sad, sad team to watch here. So, again, Smart's in that starting lineup because no Gordon Hayward and when he got injured on Monday. So, over here on DraftKings, Tatum 9,200. He's playing like a 9,200 player. So, all that love you're going to put on Mitchell, take it and put it on Tatum. The first 2 games, in 31 minutes, he put up 50 fantasy points on Wednesday. On Monday, put up 57 in 41 minutes. So if it's going to be a closer game and not towards a blowout, he can put up that 60 spot. So love Tatum here. Brown, 7,200 on DraftKings. Again, didn't play a ton of minutes on Wednesday because they didn't have to. Put up 30 fantasy points. Had 50 and 39 minutes again on Monday. So you have to consider these guys. Walker's down to 6,600 on DraftKings here. 26 minutes, put up 32 fantasy points. I consider all these guys, but I would make a rule and not play more than 2 of them. They're hard to peg who's going to go off. Smart 5,400. Boy, I have a hard time playing him. He's more of a FanDuel player with the steals, but I think there's better options than Smart. But Walker, Brown, Tatum, no problem going there. Decent 4,300. Again, I think he is a little bit interesting. He did play 25 minutes on Monday, put up 21 fantasy points. Only played 12. He can get into foul trouble real quick, so you got to worry about that. And then we just don't know who they're going to play. He played Kantergott, saw 22 minutes at 3,700 and put up 23 fantasy points. You can't trust these centers or what they're going to do. Time Lord, Kanter. On Monday they brought Time Lord off the bench first. Kanter saw a little bit more run on Wednesday. It's hard to say what they're going to do. So they're just like tournament flyers only, mix and match them. But Tatum and Brown and Walker are the guys you're looking over here. On the Philly side on DraftKings, Joel Embiid, 9,800. They need this guy to step up. Put up 21 shots, was more aggressive, put up 53 fantasy points. I think you got to look at him on this slate for sure. He's going to need a 60 bomb for them to stay. They're down 0-2, and they need this win pretty damn bad. So no problem going to Embiid. Tobias Harris, 7,500. Again, they need him to step up really bad. Only put up 14 shots, 4 for 14, had 10 rebounds, 30 fantasy points. Fair price. I don't think you have to go there. I think I'd prefer Brown on the other side, but again, they need him. Horford at 6,200, complete fade. 23 minutes off the bench, 8 fantasy points. Started on Monday, 31 minutes, 24 fantasy points. Complete fade of Al Horford here. Jay Rich at 4,800 is interesting. Alec Burks, again, I would love to play Alec Burks. Someone phone Brett Brown and tell him he needs to play Alec Burks. Thibault, defense only. He sucks. 3,600. Played 25 minutes. The man put up 5 fantasy points. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that. Nobody has time for that. All right. Let's head on over to Fanduel. Check out the pricing on these guys. Start on the 76ers side first. Joel Embiid hit the 5 figures. He's 10-1. So it's going to be, depending on our lineup construction, Joker or Embiid. I think both are cash viable, depending on which way you want to go. You might need the savings of Joker. I don't. I had more of a feel on Embiid on Wednesday. I don't right now. But before we get into this, if you're listening to this on YouTube, hit that like button if you don't mind. Follow on Twitch. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube channel here. I'll keep knocking these out if you like them. Give me your favorite play. I really appreciate you guys, and we'll just keep knocking out these videos, and hopefully that they're helping you out a little bit. So really appreciate you guys. And if you're not a DFS Army VIP member, again, going over to dfsarmy.com, use promo code CashKeg, save yourself 20% off, and you can get cheat sheets, chat with me in the VIP room, ask questions, and we will get you there to winning some money. But with that, back to Boston, Philly on FanDuel. Tobias Harris, 7,100. Again, that's pretty fair price on him. No problem playing 7,100 on a weak position here. He's just 20. He only put 28 fantasy points, but they struggled really bad on Wednesday. On Monday, he did put up 38. You would take that all day long at 7,100. Again, Al Horford, 5,200. Complete fade for me. J. Rich, 5K. Again, I'll go back there. That's a fair price. Milton starts, but he just doesn't do anything. Put up 22 fantasy points, 29 minutes, 14 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. I guess you got to have him in your pool, but, man, he doesn't excite me when he's like the 5th option on that team. I guess the 4th option now that when Thibault starts, because Thibault doesn't do crap. He's just out there playing defense. And, yeah, that worked out real well for you there, Brett Brown, last game. You still got your butt kicked. So if maybe you go back to Burks and they finally play him. It's risky, man. You just can't trust what they're going to do. So for me, it's Embiid, Harris, J. Rich, and basically move on if you're looking for these guys. And let's head into the nightcap game, where this is the best game. Highest over-under. Should be fun. Dallas took one even up the series here. We have a 232 over-under with the Clips favored by 5. Projected starting lineup for Dallas: Luka, Hardaway, Finney Smith, Kleba, Porzingis. And on the Clip side, Reggie Jackson, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Marcus Morris, and Zubac. Patrick Beverley is doubtful. That's why we're looking at Reggie Jackson getting the starting lineup. So that's one thing that I don't think he's going to play. So Porzingis is probable, so he should play no problem here. And then Trey Burke, who had a massive game 2, man, he just in a few minutes that he got, he turned the juice on. He is probable as well. So let's first look on FanDuel. Let's look at the Maverick side of the ball. Luka 10-5. I don't think price has moved off of him this whole first series here. You can go right back to well with Luka. He got into foul trouble on Wednesday, so that's why his minutes were only 28. He should be playing 38. Still put up almost a 50 booger in 28 minutes. Go back right back to well with Luka here. No problem. Porzingis 8,500. No problem going back to Porzingis. He put up 32 points in 36 minutes. Didn't have a monster game, but I still think you can go back there to him. Tim Hardaway, 5,300. I think that's more of a GPP play. Not too excited. Seth Curry's up to 4,600. He's starting to get to the point where, yeah, he's playing minutes off the bench, but it's hard to trust him. 22 fantasy points, 26 minutes. So the minutes are there. I just don't think you're going to see a ceiling out of him. Kleba 4,400 or 4,000. Finney Smith at 4,400 is interesting because, again, that's not a very strong position. Put up 19 fantasy points. He sees the minutes. He just doesn't really have massive upside. Trey Burke is 3,800. I'm sure people will go back to this game. He just was lights out. Only saw 17 minutes, but put up 30 fantasy points. Those 2 steals and a block really inflate that line. If you didn't have those, we're talking around 21 fantasy points. So don't get overly excited, but it's a weak point guard position in this group of 4. So it's somebody you can look at. One team I did skip. I'll go back real quick on FanDuel. Just real quick, the Celtics, because I did talk about Porzingis. And I was like, wait, the guy we should be looking at is Tatum. Yeah, and he's 9K over here. He's the safer play out of him and Porzingis. So if you're looking at cash games, play Tatum. Kemba Walker's up to 7,200. Again, not a guy that you have to put out there, but he's in consideration. But that price is getting up there where I don't absolutely love it, but he needs to be in consideration here. Jaylen Brown, 7K. Yeah, throw him in there. Smart, 5,500. Hard to trust that price. But again, he's more of a FanDuel play. And then we got Thies at 4,700. And then Cantor at 3,600. Again, Cantor might be interesting if we're going to see Brad Stevens throw him out there the 22 minutes that he got. We just don't know. So he should just be in your GPP pool. So apologize about that, missing the Celtics. Let's head on over back to FanDuel. Go to the Clips side of the ball of the Dallas Maverick Clippers game. Kawhi Leonard, 9,700. Again, they're going to want to come back and grab Game 3. So we should see an vengeance out of Kawhi Leonard, 9,700. Got to consider him in this totals almost 16 points higher than any other game. Paul George had a really bad game on Wednesday. Only put up 30 fantasy points at 7,900. I think you can look back at here, but Sweet Will is the guy I want. He's probably a core play for me. 5,600 on FanDuel. Minutes are definitely ticking up here. Saw 31 minutes the first 2 games. Put up 36 fantasy points. And I think we're going to see more of that. It's just way too cheap for him. Marcus Morris has been super aggressive. I think that's maybe what's hurting Paul George a little bit. 35 minutes, seeing massive minutes, 31 fantasy points, 38 on Monday. So guy you have to look at here. Zubac at 4,400. Again, I think Harrell's going to keep seeing more and more run. So I think Zubac's about done. He only saw 18 minutes. Harrell's minutes are starting to trend up a little bit. Saw 21 minutes. So only put up 10 fantasy points. But at 4,700, I might have a splash at him because if he gets up to that 25 to 27 mark and they start running that pick and roll with Lou Williams, he can smash there. And then we can't forget about Reggie Jackson, 3,500 min price here. Again, at a very weak position on this at FanDuel. Put up 16 fantasy points in 26 minutes, but he has a higher ceiling than that. Just don't get super excited. It's not a cash play. But if he's going to be starting, get a few blocks or steals, man, that number can inflate itself pretty good. So don't forget about him. Let's head on over to DraftKings and check out the pricing for the Clips here. We got Kawhi Leonard, 9,600. Paul George, 8,300. Kawhi's just been playoff Kawhi. 53 fantasy points, 59 first 2 games. And with George's price similar, I think you're going to have to lean on Leonard. I think Paul George is going to be way less owned because of his production, so you can look at that, but he's been hard to trust. Again, Sweet Lou Williams, 5,600. Just chuck him in there. Really nice price on him. The way Morris has been playing at 5K over here on DraftKings, throw him in there. And then over here on DraftKings, man, Montrezl Harrell, 4,100. Makes a very interesting play. I think the minutes are going to be up there. I prefer that over the 4,400 Zubac here on DraftKings. I think this is more of a Harrell play. Should see the 25 minutes plus, and he can crush that tag. So really like that in tournaments. Reggie Jackson, again, 3,500. I would rather play Monte Morris than Reggie Jackson, but you got to consider him with the minutes he should see in that starting lineup. Over on Dallas, Luka 10-8. Again, they brought him down a little bit, about 1,000. So no problem playing Luka here. When they get closer to Porzingis' salary like this, I definitely love Luka. Porzingis 8-5. Again, on this slate, just being center only, I'd probably rather play Joker and Embiid than Zingis, but you got to look at him. Hardaway Jr., 5,200, tournaments only. Finney Smith, 4,200, again, tournaments only. Seth Curry, 3,900 is interesting. Trey Burke, 3,600. These are just tournament-only options. Even Kleba getting start. He just doesn't do nothing when he's out there. He's kind of really hard to trust. Did put up 23 fantasy points in 33 minutes because of those 10 rebounds. So maybe if you need a last spot to throw in there, look at a Kleba. Finney Smith at 4,200 again. Kind of 20 fantasy points. If you're looking at 5-6x mark, just not massive upside for those guys. So that's what we're looking at this slate. Again, the big news on this slate that kind of changes up a little bit. Just to recap, Brooklyn, we don't have Joe Harris, so that's going to slide in Crooks in that starting lineup with Temple, TLC, LeVert. And then the big one with Utah, man, we got Conley coming back, which kind of, changes all that guards. And Mitchell's just unplayable on both slates at their price because they did not adjust that. So it's complete fade for Mitchell for me with Conley coming back in the starting lineup. Just adds one more body. So with that, I appreciate you guys for listening. Again, if you don't mind giving me a like and hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate you guys. And if you're not a part of DFS Army, please head on over, sign on up, use promo code CashKeg, get in there, start chatting, start winning money. And I'll see you on the flip side. Deuces.